What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to My Social Life. This is the podcast where we teach you how to grow your social media by talking to the people that have actually done it. My guest today is Eric Israel, and Eric is the creator of Humans of Ottawa. Now, if you've heard of Humans of New York, Humans of Ottawa is a very similar page. The only big difference is Humans of Ottawa features people in Ottawa and not New York City. And in our conversation today, Eric and I get into a lot. We're going to talk about how he grew the page to over 10.8 thousand followers, and a big part of that is his hashtag use and ranking on various sizes of hashtags. That's a really important part of the conversation. I definitely think you should pay attention to that part. Another thing I want to clarify is Eric talks about keeping the integrity of his page. And when we're talking about it, he says that when he's out interviewing people on the streets, he doesn't tell them what the blog is about. I just want to clarify and make sure people understand that when we're talking about that he does tell people about the page. It's just initially when he first meets them, he just tells them he's a street photographer. He likes to take pictures of people on the street and write their stories. He doesn't say that it's Humans of Ottawa just because of the popularity of Humans of New York. So many people know what it is, and he's worried that if people hear that he's doing Humans of Ottawa, they're going to change their story so it's a little bit more dramatic or a little bit funnier, or they're going to embellish certain things. So he wants it to be raw and real. So he doesn't tell people what the blog is initially, just so their stories stay real, so that they don't, as I said, over exaggerate different elements. I just really wanted to clarify that because he does tell people, and I just didn't want anyone to get confused. Another thing we're going to talk about is the interviews themselves. How does it work? How does he go into this city? Like, how does he choose who he talks to? Does it ever take a toll? Because some of the stories he hears are really, really deep. And it's just really cool to hear and talk to someone who just goes out into the city and talks to strangers all the time. That's not something a lot of people do. So he offers a cool and unique perspective. So this is a really cool episode, guys. I'm really excited for you to hear it. Humans of Ottawa is a really, really cool page, and this is a really, really cool interview and an awesome opportunity. Eric was telling me that this isn't something he's ever really done. He usually doesn't even show his face or show himself off as the guy that runs Humans of Ottawa. He likes to keep it really separate. So this is a really unique opportunity for me to be able to sit down and chat with him for over an hour. So as I just said, I'm just really fortunate and really thankful that Eric was willing to come on to My Social Life, guys. I'm really excited for you to hear this episode. Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to My Social Life. This is the podcast where we teach you how to grow your social media by talking to the people that have actually done it. My guest today is Eric Israel. He's the creator of Humans of Ottawa, which is very similar to Humans of New York, would you say?
Yeah, it's very similar.
Yeah. So do you kind of want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the page?
Yeah, sure. My name is Eric. I go by Eric. Yeah, I'm a student. I go to Carleton and studying comms, and first year started with journalism. This is kind of how the page started. We were given an assignment to go out and interview someone we thought told an interesting story. So we went out there and did a bunch of interviews, and I just ended up having like this bunch of like pictures left, and I was like, hey, maybe I should start this page. And I went on Instagram, of course, first thing, and looked it up and thought I saw actually there were other people who started it, but they kind of like didn't keep it up. So I kind of picked it up from there, and and here we are.
Yeah. So you said it started with like a class assignment. Yeah,
it started kind of like as a class assignment, and then I submitted that assignment, and then I was left off with kind of like a bunch of stories and cool photos. So that's how I started the Instagram page and started interviewing people and just kept going until today. Yeah.
Yeah. So that original assignment was that you just had to submit the one picture?
Yeah. Just submit the one picture, submit the one story that I thought told an interesting story. But then like for you to judge, to tell which story is the best, you know what I mean? So yeah, I just ended up like submitting one, but I still had like a lot of other story that I thought was interesting, and that's how I started the page.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. So then how'd you do on that original assignment?
To be honest, I don't even remember.
No?
I don't know. It's been, that was my first year, so it's been a while. I think I did pretty well. To be honest, grade-wise, I have no idea. I never actually thought about that. Yeah.
No?
Yeah, no.
Do you remember the professor that assigned that assignment?
Yeah, of course. I mean, me and that prof, we're still kind of like best friends. We talk because it's kind of like oftentimes I go back and talk to him about just like some other work and some other journalistic works and whatnot. Yeah.
So you're at school for journalism then?
So yeah, because in first year I was in journalism, later on I switched into comm. So it's kind of like, it's pretty much like the School of Journalism and Communication at Carleton. So it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then so that first picture that you submitted, is that the first picture on the Instagram?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. No, when I look back at that first story, no, I don't think that's the first story that I submitted on Instagram. Yeah, no.
No. Did you ever post the one you submitted, or did that one?
I think I did. I might have. Again, it's been a while. I might have like recorded that, but like I've no recollection.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
So with the original picture, did you take it on your phone or did you take it with?
No, I used to, I mean, prior to basically start at Carleton, I used to take like photos. So like I had a DSLR camera, so all the pictures been taken for the Humans of Ottawa. I took it with the DSLR camera.
Yeah. What kind of camera are you using?
I started with the Canon 60D.
Okay.
And then with just a simple 50 millimeter lens. And then later on, I upgraded to a 5D Mark IV. That's what I shoot with right now.
Yeah. So you did photography before you went to school for journalism and everything?
Yeah. So again, like, it was more like a hobby. Because like it traced back, go back really long time ago, where I did a lot of traveling, and of course I had a DSLR and had a hobby for skateboarding and was shooting videos. And yeah, it's funny enough because like prior to the Humans of Ottawa, prior to start the project, I wasn't really into like shooting portrait or shooting people. I was more like taking a lot of videos and landscape photography type thing. So like it's not until actually I started the Humans of Ottawa that I actually start taking portrait pictures of people. And I wasn't better at the beginning taking pictures, and as I kept shooting more and more, start redefining and learn as I go.
Yeah. And you're still doing photography now, like outside of Humans of Ottawa,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, you do some weddings, right?
I do some weddings too, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you do that a lot? Like, is that kind of like...
It's also like just like more like a word of mouth type of thing. Like people that I shot wedding for know me, and they'll just reach out to me, or they will refer me to their friends and things like that. That's kind of like that's how I go about it. I don't really like basically promote myself out there or specifically looking into like get wedding videos, because I have school, I have part-time job, and my hands a bit full. And despite the fact that I love shooting videos, and editing weddings is not fun.
Not at all.
It's not fun. Shooting is fun, but like editing part of it, especially when they want you to kind of like, you know, produce a longer version of the wedding, and then it's kind of like, oh god. But
yeah. That's awesome, though. So kind of just back to that original assignment.
Yeah.
How long was it between like you submitted that assignment to creating the page? Like,
oh no, it was instant actually.
Really?
Yeah. So basically, it was as I went out to before even like submitting the assignment, I kind of like started the page right then and there, and So just like I remember even like setting up the Instagram account. I was kind of like on the bus or something, just like looking at. I remember searching for the first Humans of Ottawa page. There was like 300 followers, and then they stopped posting their last story. It was kind of like in July of 2015, and then the blog I didn't start it. So we're talking about when I was looking into it. It was kind of like February 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, wow. Okay. Last summer they stopped, and why? What happened? So yeah, and then that's where I kind of like set up the page, Humans of Ottawa Instagram account, and started from there. And then
yeah, not bad. So kind of fast forward today, you've got 438 posts. I think maybe even more than since I wrote that down.
Yeah, I think 400 something. Yeah, 400 something page stories. Yes,
that's a lot.
Yeah, it's quite a. I mean, it's commitment. Yeah.
So how I kind of want to talk about how it works with you kind of approaching people. So like, how does that work when you find something?
Well, I mean, I don't really have like, I get that question a lot. I mean, I don't really have a mechanism or a way to approach people. I mean, we live in a world where we all live in our own bubble. back in the day, I was not, I didn't live before I was born in 1995, but before that I did know about like stories that I heard from our parents, our teacher in school, where they would tell us like back in their day people were more like socially approachable versus today we are less socially approachable, right? So if you walk in the street, someone comes to you say hello, they'll be like, hello, like what do you want, type of thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so it's hard to just say hello to someone and that person genuinely say hello back to you. So I think this is also kind of like hindsight, the idea of the page, where I want to kind of break that boundary. So when I approach people, I really generally just like greet them, just be like, hey, how are you? Or just be like, hey. And then at the same time, I kind of try not to invade their space while keeping enough distance to be able to break that, first or 2-minute impression with just a simple greeting, just like, hey, hi, how's it going? Do you mind if I take your photograph? That's all.
Yeah. That's it.
And then some people, we also live in an age of social media where people know a lot about photography, Instagram, and people want to have their picture taken, right? And you also have some of those who are very kind of like, they will question you a little bit, be like, okay, what for it? And oftentimes I don't tell them that I run the blog. I just tell them that I'm a street photographer and I have this blog where I love taking pictures of people. And if they don't mind, I could take their photograph. And they'll be like, oh, okay, cool. So and I was like, sure, if you don't mind, I'll take a photograph and we'll have a little chat. And they'll be like, yeah, sure. And some days I'll go by and a lot of yes, and certain days I'll go by and a lot of no's. Totally respect that.
Yeah. So how is it awkward when people tell you no? Like, how does...
No. I mean, if they say, I was like, absolutely, thanks a lot. I really appreciate your time and have a good day. Yeah, and it can be a little bit awkward, but it's just like, hey, the person say no, right? So you kind of have to respect that. Be like, yeah, I appreciate the fact that at least we had this kind of like 2 minutes where you at least give me your time to be able to hear what I was about to say or whatnot. Yeah,
that's fair. And then you said you kind of have a little chat. Like, how long do you usually talk with these people?
Oh, to be honest, I don't have a time frame when when a person allow me to interview them or to talk to them. I simply just like ask them questions, and certain people just want to talk, and I let them really talk. And I'll just be there and listen and ask a certain question and ask follow-up questions and things like that. And until a certain point where I felt like we had a little bit of conversation and whatnot, and that's just how the conversation just go with the flow pretty much. It's not really like questions, it's not really like, questions and answer type of thing. It's very much just like chatting, just like I sit down, I just like chat with them, be like, hey, how's your day? What you doing with this and that, and we go from there.
Yeah. I know you said you don't really have like a standard like way to do things, but is there always like at least one question that you always ask?
I always ask, certain depends. It all totally depends on how that conversation is going to go, what the follow-up question is going to be. I never had a script of questions and whatnot. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I could have asked this question. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I should. And certain days I'll go by and be like, oh, that I did ask a really good questions, and I'm kind of proud of myself.
Yeah.
And certain time I'll be like, oh, where's my skills of asking questions? But all in all, it's really cool because the idea of the page is not just to tell sad story or happy story or fictional story. It's all about just like telling story totally based on that particular moment of my encounter with the person that I'm spotting or want to talk to. So I don't really walk in with a certain mindset to be able to frame a story in certain ways. So certain stories turn out to be really sad. And I've had interviews where stories were super, super dark that I couldn't put it out there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I also had time where stories aren't just funny. And people, I don't know, the assumption is not about to be able to tell a sad story. It's just about to be able to tell a story based on that person, that particular moment. So in that moment, certain people can talk about something happy, and then we're going to go about it. It does not, again, whether or not it's related to their personal life or to what they're doing in that particular moment, it's all about that flow.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. So what do you like when the conversation gets deep? Like, what's your kind of approach to that? Like, how does that work? Because it must be a pretty hard thing to hear people talking about these really deep things.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be a very good listener, right? So again, it's something that I also learn over time, and I'm still learning. I'm still honing into that skill. Yeah, certain things when it get dark, I would just be there and listen and try to even get deeper and understand why. And sometime we'll even provide to be able to understand whether is there a different way that that person may see that perspective and see if they, have reached that point to kind of like outweigh the pro and the con of their situation. But all in all, I just try to listen, follow up questions, and deeper conversation, be like, have you ever seek for help and things like that, and try to basically see whether the person who the story that is coming to me, the person who's telling it, I've kind of like look into different options to be able to figure out his or her situation and things like that.
Yeah. And then, so you said kind of initially when you ask to take their picture, you don't really just tell them what exactly it's about?
No.
Do you tell them by the end of it, though, like what your plan is?
No, I mean, certain people, I just tell them that I run a blog where I go around, I interview people and take their picture and feature them in the blog. So I don't really tell them what the blog is. And certain people I do tell them. Those people who will go like, oh, what it is, what about, then I will actually take out my phone or tell them, obviously, this is what I run. And they'll be, oh, so I go around and interview people. And then they will be like, kind of like change their mind, because there are certain people who are very kind of like still skeptical to have their picture taken and wanted by a stranger. Totally understand that. But initially, I don't tell them that, because the idea is like, the Humans of New York is very popular, right? So again, I really like to capture stories that are true and honest, and at the same time, I don't want people to be like, oh, shoot, I'm going to be featuring the Humans of Ottawa. Therefore, I want to frame my story in a certain way. you know? So I don't want to kind of like have people already have that mindset in them and have kind of like either a story, try to kind of like make their story sound better or sound sad and whatnot. And no, I don't do that. Therefore, I don't tell them that. And also, like, another thing, just to add into that, I don't kind of like receive, if people ask me, oh, can I be featured in the page? I'm sorry, I cannot feature you, because it's, again, not part of the thing. Because if you come to me, which means you already thought of your story. It's not going to be an encounter out of the blue. It's not going to be a sudden encounter or a spontaneous encounter. So I don't do that either.
Yeah.
Just like I respond to every emails or inquiries if I have time, as much as I can, and try to explain. And a lot of people are very understandable of it, and they're very appreciative of that. The fact that at least I took time to read their email and respond to their questions or their requests, and basically just take my time to explain to them and to basically let them understand. It's not like your story is not important, and then I don't want you to feel like I'm judging you or anything like that, but it's just like there is kind of like the basis template for the page, right? And then that's kind of like what draw kind of like that uniqueness and about what's unique about the page, right? So once you kind of start breaking those boundaries, you're not authentic anymore. So authenticity is key, Yeah.
So with the 400 plus stories you've heard, are there any couple that really stick out to you?
Oh man, all of them stick out to me. I'd say like all of them are pretty interesting, because again, like I said, it's not about picking and choosing, right? It's all about, I believe, like, to me, every story, because the reason why I share them, because I find them interesting. And then every story are interesting. I mean, certain, like I said, some of them are sad yet interesting. Some of them are really happy. It depends on your definition of sad, happiness, corny, or whatever. But to me, they are very interesting, each one of them. So it's hard for me to pick and choose. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah,
I get that. Yeah. So with the heavier stories, you said sometimes they're so heavy and sad that you can't really post them.
Yeah.
Has there been anywhere you kind of post it and the person asks you to take it down after? Or?
No. I've never literally, because, like, again, I have, coming from journalism, I do apply taking journalism my first year, and then throughout my communication courses, being able to also take certain journalism courses and whatnot. I kind of like, again, I apply a lot of journalistic technique in this blog. So therefore, I try to make that judgment to be like, okay, this story is not good if it's being put out there in this way. But I did publish certain stories who people came back to me or were like, oh, I don't want it to be there. I totally respect that, and I'll go ahead and delete it, no problem. But one thing that I don't do is kind of like because like what I do, I ask people if I can record their voices, because so that I can go back and listen to it and type to it. I don't have that great memory to be able to remember every detail. But what I don't do is kind of like, if I already wrote a story and then you come back to me later on, you try to want me to make adjustment. I will not do that, because that's not what you told me on the tape. You know what I mean? If the story is there, you want me to make adjustment, I'd rather just take it all off on the blog. I will not go ahead and make adjustment and whatnot, because I wrote it based on what you told me, and I have recordings of it and whatnot. So that's also one thing that I don't do. But as far as the story that I feel is dark, no, it just never. Maybe we'll see the light of the day one day. If maybe I reach out to that person and things have changed, that would be a really cool, spinning or tune over or pivotal story, you'd say. But yeah, no.
Yeah. So you keep in touch with the people that you...
Certain people I try to reach out. Again, like I said, like super, super dark story, I try at least to follow up, all right? To be like, hey, all right, and things like that. But yet while keeping still that professional aspect of things.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you talked about the recordings.
Yeah.
Do you record, like you said, you have a recorder, or do you use your phone to do it?
I oftentimes use my phone, but I do have... a mic, a professional recorder. I actually have two of them, but my phone is a lot easier and the audio quality on an iPhone is good. And it's not like I'll ever publish those audios and whatnot, so it's fine.
Yeah. Do you still keep them all like on a computer somewhere?
Oh yeah. I always keep all those recording, again, just for archive purposes, and all the pictures and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, but no plans to ever use them?
No. I don't think I'll ever publish it, or no.
Yeah.
No.
That's fair.
Yeah, because like, if again you start looking into publishing it, that's going to be a whole entire initiative, right? So again, I'm just one person thing. I just want to keep it simple, and yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
So with the pictures too, you said you have all the pictures on archive as well. Do you take the pictures typically before you really interview them then?
So I take the picture while interviewing them. So I told them to be as natural as possible. I just told them, like, I'm going to be asking you a question, keep talking, and I'm going to be taking a bunch of pictures. And I shoot raw most of the time, so I'm just going to take, like, depends, 5, 10, depends on how many pictures I can take. And then when I go back, I look at every pictures after writing a story, and then I'll look at every picture, and then find a picture that could best frame the story. And also one thing is kind of like, I also have a way of kind of like telling a story just like with a picture. For example, if I'm doing a series, which is kind of like, I have a long form stories, which is you have like part 1 or part 2. And when I have part 1 and part 2, so I choose 2 pictures for that one same theme or same story. So what I do, I will often take a picture from afar and a close-up. So this is kind of like, the first picture just is to simply show that at first, when I met this person, we were not that close. So you have that farther perspective. And then the second picture, it's a bit more close, because the person actually is able to open up to me and tell me about his or her story. So it's really also another way to play with just like visual communications and being able to tell a story just with a picture by itself. When you see this picture from this angle or far, and then you see it closer, you can kind of like see, because the only time you're close to a person that you close with, right, a friend or whatnot, but a stranger always see that person from afar, right? It's not until you break through that bubble or through their world, or you become close, that you actually can come sit next to them, right? So oftentimes I'll take their picture from afar and ask them, if do you mind if I sit here and while we talk and whatnot, I can take pictures, and they go like, yeah, sure.
That's something I never really noted. Like, now that you say it, thinking back on it, I can totally see it. Like scrolling through, it's not something that registers.
Again, like I said, there's like a lot of things that I put in the background of this thing, just as a photographer, or things that I try to play around with it, just like again. I mean, it's not things that you will see right away, but you need to kind of put a little bit of analysis into it. Like if you go back, because on the website there is when you click on series, there is at the bottom, there's like long form story. If you look at all those pictures, they kind of have that idea where the first picture is kind of like show either like full body of the person, or maybe like like more like waist way up, and then the second picture is gonna be more like shoulder up type thing. Again, not that I do that on purpose, but I just realized that that's also one way of just like visually tell a story.
Yeah. And you talked about the website.
Yeah.
When did the website go up at the same time as Instagram, or did things kind of start to pick up on Instagram before you dropped the website?
The website, I think, probably went up a month later. Yeah, because it was just like, again, when I figured, because I wanted the Humans of Ottawa all in one word, kind of like the Instagram handle, but then again, it was taken already. So that's why I have like Humans of Ottawa. And then, but then I was looking into the website, and then the Humans of Ottawa Humans of Ottawa all in one word.ca was also taken. But then after, apparently that domain expires, so I was like, yes. And then I immediately purchased the domain and go from there. But again, I know it didn't went all together. I think everything started off of Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Things start picking up there, and then after that, I was able to figure out the website part of things and was able to set it up.
Yeah. And with your website and with Instagram, it looks very similar to the Humans of New York page. Was that by design?
Yeah. So again, because the idea is kind of like, it's very much like borrowed from the Humans of New York, right? So I figure that it would be ideal to kind of like keep that theme going, and yeah, kind of like in a visual from the outside, it will be ideal to keep that themes going so that it will be easily recognizable to people and whatnot. And then, but from kind of like the back work of things, there's like little things that I do to be a little bit different. I don't know.
Yeah, that's awesome. So prior to that first assignment, had you heard of Humans of New York?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's funny because I followed Humans of New York way before even reaching 1 million. I remember It was kind of like around like 5,000 followers. Yeah, way before. I think that was kind of like when Instagram started, because I've been on Instagram quite a while, and then it was just like, because back then it was with a lot of I think back then was when I was still living in Hong Kong, and yeah, that's when I kind of heard of that I was on Instagram quite a while, but never thought of it like this whole entire thing will shift the way it shifted today. But like back then, that when the Humans of Ottawa, of New York started, and I followed it like way when it had like less followers, and then I never in my mind I ever thought that I'll find myself doing this. Yeah, it's funny just how things goes in life, but I heard of it for sure.
Yeah, just one thing you said in there. You lived in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So how long did you live there for?
That was just a little while, because my dad owned a bit of a business there, and our whole entire family has to live there and whatnot. Yeah.
That's crazy. I had no idea. So you recently came back from Hong Kong, right?
I was in Shanghai.
Shanghai.
Yeah. So I just like went totally for work there with a friend of mine, and just went for a week, and
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so sorry, back. Sorry, I just heard that.
No worries.
Sidetrack. But back to the Humans of New York.
Yeah.
I kind of looked. There's quite a few like offshoots, like not ran by Humans of New York, but there's like Humans of all these other cities.
Yeah.
Have you ever connected with anyone else running similar pages?
No. I haven't connected with anyone else running similar pages. This is mainly because it's not like I don't want to connect, but it's just I just never. It definitely been on my mind, but I just never thought about my way around to kind of like work around it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's fair. So then you've never really had any contact with Brandon Stanton from Humans of New York?
No. Maybe hopefully one day. One day. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know what that banging is for anyone listening. Like, I guess they're
ruining our audio.
Yeah, nailing into the floor. I don't know what they're doing.
It's okay.
But so I kind of want to talk about the Instagram now.
Yeah, sure.
So you're like what we have been the whole time, but like kind of the growth side of it.
Yeah.
You're sitting at I think 10.8 thousand followers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how did you go from a class assignment to 10.8 thousand?
Man. It's been a lot of work, and 10K was always a goal, and when you reach that first milestone and you lift the bar. So how did I went from, again, just like a basic Instagram account to, I don't know. Okay. That's a straight answer, but at the same time, I'll say like it's a combination of putting a lot of hours on Instagram, liking pictures, and basically marking a presence out there. First, of course, first of all, the first few days or weeks was pretty much just people who know me, like close, be like, oh, Eric started this, let's support it. And outside of that, again, I didn't know all this Instagram technique that I do now, but I watched a lot of YouTube videos how to grow Instagram follower, and a lot of people basically tell you about your content, your presentation, your branding, and which is very, 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 very important. And so I took everything that I watched online and then basically applied it, and just start seeing results a little bit. And also another thing is kind of like, I think also the name of the Humans of Ottawa just also kind of plays into it, because Humans of Ottawa, well, there was a page, but again, certain people, 300 people follow that, right? So again, there's a thing, right? For example, imagine you having your Instagram, right? And then you see Humans of Ottawa likes your picture, be like, oh, Humans of Ottawa. You're definitely going to capture your attention, right? You're going to go back in the page, take a look at it, be like, oh, cool, maybe I should follow this. I'm in Ottawa. So it's really kind of like that idea, but like what I did most of the time and what I do today, when I have time, right now I kind of do it less and less, but before I would spend a huge amount of hours just like liking and liking people's pictures. I'll do it like every time that I can get on social media. I think I'll do that. Yeah.
So when you were liking, were you kind of like trying to do geographical liking, like basically just anyone in Ottawa?
Yeah, because first of all, one thing it's important is like you want to have people of Ottawa, within Ottawa, to follow you before thinking of people in Montreal, people outside of Canada. Those are not your followers. You want to kind of like secure your local base first before they start, spreading outside of it. So most of the time I would just like focusing people in Ottawa, because like those people are the one who will most likely find a friend or find people that they are familiar with, find people that they know, rather than stranger across the globe or the world. So yeah, I'll just focus in small Instagram, like Ottawa, the hashtag Ottawa, and things just related in Ottawa, and just like it and like some content. And one thing that I don't do is commenting. I don't comment.
Not at all.
Nah.
How come?
Because, one thing is like, if your personal brand is different, but being more like a Humans of Ottawa type thing is totally different as well. So my voice in this case, it's easily, I feel like if I say something there, I can be easily targeted. Mm-hmm. All right. So I try to be very, very careful in terms of what I say publicly. Not me personally, but like what's the page, because like I am my own person. The Humans of Ottawa, it's an own entity. I'd put it that way, right? So like when I operate that, I kind of like have to be very skeptical in terms of what I say publicly. So I try not to be very like controversial or whatnot. I respect everyone's view, bubbles or whatever you want to name it. So I don't really comment out there. Even on the Humans of Ottawa post that I share, I don't comment there. Even like I have the email, there's a direct DM. If people want to reach out to me, I'll respond at anything you want privately, but I will not put my voice out there publicly, be like, hey, this is what I feel. Because I don't want to be that voice to influence people.
Yeah. I hear it. I mean, that's kind of how we got connected initially, was you liked one of my posts that I sent you a DM from there. And
Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Again, because I don't really keep track of what I'm
of course,
no. Yeah, exactly. So I try, again, like people be like, hey, why you don't comment or why you don't tag people? Again, it's all go back of kind of like, okay, if I say one thing, people can take it. We live in the really age of social media. If you don't use it wisely, things can just turn, your attention may not be what can be perceived out there, right? I can say something with totally different intention, but like the way maybe it's framed or said may not be, some other people may not perceive it that way. So have to be very careful on that. So therefore, I don't really try, again, especially in people's story, I don't try to come and provide my own opinion, because I will interview you today. You may have certain views on certain things. I'll take that view and share it. And then I will not start commenting along with other people to provide my own opinion on the interview that I just conducted. It does not make sense to me. And also, I don't want to be in that spot to be either confrontational on social media and whatnot. So therefore, I just like completely stay away from comments and Facebook, Instagram. Thanks for the website. There's no comment section, so it's all good. But yeah, no, I don't do that.
Yeah, no. Then you said you don't tag people either.
No, I don't tag people either because, again, I mean, because tagging people is more like very much advertising or promoting them, and then is not the goal of the page. The goal of the page is simply share a story. If you find a story very appealing, very compelling, I know you can. I've seen certain people who I interview went back and tried to promote themselves. Yeah, by all means, go for it. The comment is there. You can put your handle there, talk with people through comment, use the platform however you will. I will not intervene. I will not do anything about it. You are welcome to roam around the comment section. But I will not just get involved into that section. Yeah.
Does that happen often where people will find themselves on the page and like?
Certain people have done that, and so I've seen certain people certain stories. People want to reach out to that particular person, and let's say someone who know that person will tag that person and go from there, generate a conversation, and maybe they bring it to a private sector. I don't know, but I've seen some activity like that on the comment section, either on Facebook and on Instagram, and then it's pretty good too. I encourage people to do that. Not that I condemn it at all, but just something that I don't involve there.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. And I kind of want to talk about more of those Instagram techniques and stuff that you watched videos on. What were some of the really big ones outside of just liking people's pictures?
So, liking, So first of all, you have to be very original. It's all about you. Followers is a huge thing. Those numbers, you want to have those numbers, but numbers are not important because I'd rather have 100 people who actually interact with my content than have 10,000 people who don't interact with my content. Because at the end of the day, if you have 10,000 pictures, 10,000 followers, and your picture don't even reach 500 likes, so there's something not right there. Or maybe you're not, communicating with the audience properly. So what you want to do, you ultimately want to find people who actually engage with what you do, people who are interested into it, because like those are promoters, right? So if you build your page, people are very active and whatnot, they will most likely suggest it to their friend. And that's how your page get promoted. Rather than if you just focus on numbers, you can go out there and buy followers or do whatever you want to do. You reach those 10K in 3 months and 10K or 100K, you want to name it. But at the end of the day, how many engagement do you bring back to your page, right? So again, for me, I've did some analysis in terms of, I've seen pages where they have a lot of followers, but you see the amount of their follower and the amount of their engagement does not add up. And then that, to me, is just very suspicious. So for me personally, what I've done, I just solely went on take great pictures. And one thing that I do, I don't edit those pictures.
Oh, they're all just
like straight up from my camera. I would say like before when I started the blog, I would say 100% picture was not edited, but now I can say 90% of it because there were some picture. I will admit that I did adjust the lighting. Those pictures that were almost there but quite not there, I did adjust the lighting. So I would say I would comfortably say like 90% of the picture on the page are not edited at all. So that's one thing where I would just that's why I take a lot of pictures. I will play with my shutter speed and whatever I'll do, take as many pictures as I can, go on a computer, put it, and then find the best one that I can, and then upload it. So it's basically that the creation of great content and authenticity that people will eventually start noticing you, right? And then at the beginning, I did put in a lot of effort, of course, outside of posting stories, would be to spend, I'll say on a daily basis, I would spend, I don't know, maybe like 3-4 hours. Again, that divide on how many time I can get on my phone to just like people's posts and pictures and whatnot. And eventually you start seeing a response. I'll go a day, I will get like 30 followers. And again, those numbers always go up and down. People will follow you, and some of them. But eventually, as I reached 10,000 followers, I kind of like stopped doing it. I'm not as a crazy I used to, but at the same time, like, no, I should keep doing that because that's where it got me here. But even today, still, I'll go a day. There's still like people, if I liked a certain amount of picture, and then I'll see a certain amount of response. So that's just like, and then one thing is also I've been doing is like hashtags, right? So hashtags are very, very important because they are the things that actually get your picture out there. And now, one thing that I learned about hashtag from watching YouTube videos, and I actually saw the result of it, is basically your ability to be able to filter what hashtag you use. So there are certain hashtags that it basically has a huge amount of people posting constantly, right? And those hashtags, if you put your picture in there is easily, and then if you don't reach a certain amount of engagement within the first amount of time, your picture can just disappear and then bound into billions of pictures. So what I learned is that you have to be able to have a combination of basically the higher hashtag, the mid hashtag, and the lower hashtag. So what you want to do is like you want to have the hashtag, for example, so the highest hashtag, let's say it's 1,000 pictures. So 1,000 pictures. And the mid hashtag is kind of like 500 pictures. And the lower hashtag is kind of like 100 pictures. So what I learned is that you want the lower hashtag to promote you to the mid, and you want the mid to promote you to the high. So how does that work? It's kind of like when you post a picture, you find, let's say, I think you have a certain amount of hashtag you can use, right? And then you have to basically use the lower hashtag. Basically, for example, let's say the lower hashtag is Ottawa byword market. Okay, so when you put that hashtag into your picture, and then if you go into Ottawa byword market, you will see like the maximum amount of picture on the hashtag is kind of like 100, and the most liked picture in the hashtag it's kind of like 50. All right, so now when you go to the mid one, it's gonna be Ottawa. So when you go Ottawa, the most amount like in that picture in that hashtag is kind of like 100 likes, and then when you go on the high hashtag, it's kind of like Canada, for example. Now if you go on Canada, you will see the most liked picture in the hashtag is kind of like 150. So now your goal will be like to reach the first 50 like in the first amount of time. Now, when you reach that first 50 like on the Ottawa byword market, that picture will get promoted onto the next hashtag, which is going to be Ottawa. And then once you reach that 100 like, and then the next picture of yours is going to get promoted onto the bigger hashtag, which is Canada. It's all about that engagement, right? Which picture is seen the most. Even that's, if you do that, you would even see like sometime you go on that. Also, one thing you want to do, you want to basically, let's say when you post your picture on the on the Ottawa byword market hashtag, you want to be able to see if your picture will rank on top of those 50 likes or whatnot. And then if it's a rank on top of that, it's easier to rank on the medium and higher hashtags. So you have to be able to basically use the combination of all those hashtags to promote your pictures, because all about your picture get promoted on how it ranks, right, on the hashtag. So things like that I didn't know existed, and then I just took it and then watched a lot of videos and people explaining how to do it. I was like, oh, okay, cool, let's try that. And then eventually I started seeing like some of the story that I post rank on hashtags like my Ottawa, hashtags like Ottawa, and hashtags like bigger hashtags. So it's really interesting to be able to use all those techniques from people that even like Instagram gurus, you know, and then they go around and you take what you can and apply into yours and see if it works and whatnot. So hashtags definitely great content, great hashtag, and mostly authenticity. Because if you're original out there, I think it doesn't matter at the end of the day. People will definitely just come back to you and be like, okay, I start thinking what's unique about this page. I like it. You know, when you're new, it's hard to tell. You know, when you're new, it's hard to tell. But again, it doesn't matter. What's important to you shouldn't be about, oh, I'm new, therefore I should build a amount of followers. No, you're new. Focus on your content and put in some amount of hours in building your profile, and take as much hashtag you can technique, and also like focusing on a niche, right? So I think it's all about finding that niche of yours, and then people will inside that niche will be able to promote you. And what I find a bit harder about the Humans of Ottawa is kind of like there's no really niche for this, but also it's kind of like a niche for itself. You know, for example, if you start a fitness page or a sport car page, it's easy to find a niche for that because there's like people who can promote you. But then like the Humans of New York, like the humans, like any Humans of Ottawa, there's no really niche for it. You know what I mean? You will not find Instagram that's kind of like just like promoting Instagram like this. So you kind of like have to just like be unique on your way and have people pick it up that way. But yeah, so authenticity and great content aren't really, because I think Instagram is all about branding these days, right? So as long as you're original, it doesn't matter. And then what I'd say is like, yeah, just forget about the numbers when you're fairly new and focus on just like providing good content. And also like the timing of posting is also very, very important that I learned. I don't know. I've done some tested by myself. I've watched a lot of video. They will tell you like Thursday is definitely a good day to post for story for some reason. And I actually agree with that because I figure for the page, for example, if I post Thursday, you definitely have a good amount of engagement. And weekend is not really a good time to post because if you think about it, people work from Monday to Friday. And then during those days, kind of like on their lunch break, they're on their phone. On their way home, they're on their phone. On their way to work, they're on their phone. Weekend is that one day where they're doing errands, they are out and about, and they're out there with their friends, so they're less on their phone. So the amount of engagement you get throughout the week versus weekend is very less, right? So I would say like weekend is kind of like the best day to go out there and get your content, get it ready for the weekdays, all right? And then in my opinion, also like I've seen great amount of engagement. Also like that's why I often post in the morning because I don't know, it's more of my habit. When I wake up in the morning, first thing I'll take a look at the news, what happened, what's going on, So I feel like we most of the time do that. When we wake up in the morning, your first thing you grab your phone, all right? So you grab your phone and you'll take a look at your Instagram, your Facebook page, see what's up and catch up, and you start your day that way. So I think I post very much in the morning, and then I see a great amount of engagement throughout the day as the sun rises and the sunset, versus doing it the other way around. Again, that's just what worked for me. But what I would say is like certain things that I may do for this page may work for me and may not work for other people. But there's one thing that may be kind of like even across the board. It's kind of like that ability to look at the time in which you want to post, right? And then look at the time to which your engagement want to your people who follows you online. My personal Instagram account, for example, if I post throughout the day, I see less engagement than if I post evening, because like throughout evening, people who follow me on social media and whatnot, it's totally different than the Humans of Ottawa account here. So yeah, definitely posting throughout the week and not posting every single day. I think for me at this point, if I go twice a week, works just fine. I don't really post throughout the weekend because there's no point. I feel like even the story is powerful enough or is great, but it will not receive as much as attention as you want it to receive throughout the week. And yeah, it's just about like trying to get to know your audience eventually and figure out, test a bunch of things, right? A bunch of things, because I'm pretty sure you've talked to different people. Each of us have different technique, and maybe there's something that we have in common that will tell you like focusing on niche, be authentic and whatnot. And again, certain things may work for whoever want to start an Instagram page account there, and certain things may not work, but definitely is to be able to hear from people who have done it or who are doing it, and then take what works for you and leave what doesn't work for you.
Yeah. So with kind of combining all of that, when did you really start to see the page trend upwards?
It's funny enough because it took me 2.5 years to reach 10K. So this is just how much time it took me, because I literally, it's really, 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 really tempting. Really tempting to just like go about and find a way to gain amount of follower. But once you resist it, that temptation, and then you kind of like, oh, just numbers, you will actually start seeing, you know. But I said the results for the page is kind of like it's been a, you know, more like a up and down type thing. But up and down, more like not up and down, but more like up and down a little bit. But because, again, like I said, when I started applying, like liking people's pictures, I would go per day gaining like 30 followers, 50 followers per day. And I was kind of like, it was really easy to literally see. I remember, I think I reached 1,000 followers in a matter of a day and a half.
Wow.
Yeah. And then where things slowed down a little bit was when I was about 6,000 followers. And things kind of like slowed down a little bit. And I was like, okay, what am I doing wrong now? And apparently I was watching again back then, Instagram again changed things around again on their algorithm and whatnot. So now people are kind of like freaking out again. It's like, what to do? I'm stuck in this number. But like literally from going from 0 follower to 1,000 follower, I think I did it in a matter of a day or two.
So like you put the page out and like 2 days later you had over 1,000?
So I put a page out, and then 2 or 3 days later, easily reached 1,000 followers.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And that wasn't mainly just your friends, though? That was like...
No, so that was kind of like a combination of... Because so if I have friends who follow me on Instagram, I'll say maybe like 100 or 200. But that's kind of like... was kind of like a combination of my friend and people who I just like went around and liked their pictures. And yeah, it was basically, we were just counting it like, oh my God, 100, oh my God, 200, oh my God, 300. It was just like crazy.
That's awesome.
To see this number growing. And then like as I reached like 6,000, it's kind of just like died down. And I was like, okay, what happened? What can I do to change things around? And to be honest, I don't know, because like Instagram is a changing kind of like machine that changes all the time. And what you may do today may not work tomorrow. So you have to be able to kind of like adapt. But the basis of it never change. The ability to produce really, really good content and to use all the Instagram technique, the hashtags, and if you can, of course, tag certain brand. And if you can, again, of course, try to reach out to people to collaborate with them, and by use any means you can to kind of grow. Right. For example, on my opinion, I've never reached out to any big Instagram to collaborate with, and I've never, literally outside of using the hashtag good content. By good content, I mean good pictures and try to get really good stories. Even when I started, I can even look at a certain time, the story were not that great. To be honest, I have to admit it. Not that people who were telling me didn't tell a great story, but I think it comes back to me. As an interviewer, I didn't maybe ask really good questions, you know? Those questions where people start reading and be like, oh, okay. And then as I learned into it, I really learned a lot from taking good portrait photography to becoming a good interviewer and taking all those things and putting into one place. So it's a really, it's a really lot of work.
Yeah. Did you have like any, because you talk about having some really good stories and some not so great. Yeah. Is there any ones that really kind of popped where you saw a lot of people like it, maybe a lot of followers come over?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's hard to go backward, but if I trace back way at the beginning in the story, it's really interesting to see how the graph, how things have changed going from, let me take a look here.
Yeah, of course.
Going from, I don't know, 29 likes a picture to 700-800, and all these are just like literally people who perhaps follow you or people who happen to stumble upon your picture on the hashtag. So the first story had 20-30 likes, right? And then the latest one I think has 400, but I think the most liked picture in here it's 800 or so. But at the end of the day, it's really nice to be able to see things. But again, I think the amount of like also grew with the amount of followers. Right, maybe if I take that story with the 30 likes, if I post it today, maybe it's gonna reach that same amount of like. So it may just be all in my head, be like, oh, that story one's great. No, it was just like because they kind of fairly new, you expect that amount of engagement. And then it's also one thing is like, you have 10,000 followers. Don't expect your picture to reach 10,000 likes, because it's kind of like, to me, I see it's kind of like if you look at 10,000 followers, if you just factor that into a smaller number, it's kind of like 10 followers. And then out of 10 followers, maybe like just 2 people will engage you with your content, despite all those 10 followers. So if you put those 10 followers, they like their picture, it's going to be like 2 likes out of 10. So it's going to be 20. So it's going to be 4 likes out of 20. And then that number just increased that way, because you will never get like 10,000 followers and 10,000 likes. Well, I mean, wow, I'll be surprised to see that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then everyone will be just like ranking high, but it is what it is. Even those who have like 100 million followers, their picture never reach 100 million followers. They will reach maybe like 1 million. If you put equivalent to 100 million to 1 million, it can be kind of like 1,000 versus 100 likes. So it's not even like half of what they're following, their followers. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But yeah, I think. Again, when the page was small, of course, the engagement was small. As you grow, that engagement grow with it.
Yeah, that's cool. Did you use any helpful apps? So could that be like Instagram feedback, so different, like helping you to know which time of day, or like, for example, like just apps that help you with your photography? Anything that's helped you along the way?
No. So yes, I mean, I have this app called Fireworks or something. This is the only app that I actually use to schedule the post, to see what the best time to post. No, Crowdfire. Okay. Yeah. So it's kind of like has the Instagram scheduler in there, and then you can just put the picture in there when the time comes, and then it's gonna send you kind of like an alarm, be like, okay, you should post this. So kind of like I also know already the time I should post, like 8 a.m. and whatever. That's pretty much when I post all the stories. So as far as that, and then on Facebook, there's like Facebook scheduler. You can kind of schedule a post on Facebook, so I don't need to do that. But outside of that, no, I don't use any other app or anything, no.
Yeah. And so you talked about your Facebook page.
Yeah.
I think you're setting at like 6.7 or something.
Sitting at 6,007 something followers in there. Yeah.
So how did you grow your Facebook? Was it pulling people from the Instagram and redirecting them?
So that's a very good question. I don't. To be honest, I don't know how that works. See, because like I'm still kind of learning. I would say I'm very comfortable understanding how Instagram work versus how Facebook work. And there are certain people out there who have mastered all. and I have Twitter. Even if you go on Twitter, it's even the worst. I'm standing with 300 followers on Twitter. I don't know how that works, but I think... So one thing that I do when I interview people, I ask them for their email address, okay? And then this is just for me to be able to reach out to them if I want to use their picture for different purposes. Also take their email address so that I can send them the link of the page. I send them the link of the Facebook, Instagram, and website, so they can be able to see it and share with their friend. So certain people will go through that and like the page, and so it's kind of like, yeah, certain people will go through that and follow and like the page and things like that. So I also have seen also certain people who are already currently following the page and just share with other people, and the other people end up liking the page. And so, to be honest, Facebook is kind of growing on its own pace, where sometime I will sit down and I'm like, okay, so let's try to figure out how Facebook works. And then I will get a little lazy and then I'll be like, okay, it's hard to manage like 3 platforms at the same time, which have totally working different algorithm and whatnot. So I think eventually I'll be able to use all the Instagram technique to kind of redirect traffic onto Facebook or even on the website. But I think I haven't done that. I haven't mastered that, or not even mastered, fully understand that aspect of things yet with Facebook. But yeah, sometime Facebook kind of like growing on pace. Like you receive like 2-3 likes here and there, but I don't really put as much. You see, with it because Instagram it's easier. You can just search a hashtag, go like people. But on Facebook, how do you go about it, right? So it's just like redirecting traffic and having the same group of people in one social media to another social media, right? Now that's one way of doing it. Or now, if you have to think about how to go about to harvest complete like new people out of Facebook, I think there might be a way of doing that as well. Maybe like advertisement in one way of it. I've tried actually Google Facebook advertisement just like to see a response to it. I received response here and there. I was like, okay, it's fine, but I don't think people want to be able to see an advertisement of Humans of Ottawa on their pages, so I just stopped doing that. But yeah.
Yeah, and then Twitter. I don't think you posted on Twitter in like a year, right?
No, yeah, I haven't posted on Twitter in a while. Yeah, because like I said, it's really hard. It's really hard to. I think like if eventually I kind of like be able to reach a certain goal that I want to reach with Instagram, I think will be easier to kind of like, okay, let Instagram grow it by itself and start focusing onto one platform. So I think since, again, the blog is just me, I think despite, having other things that I'm doing outside of my life and whatnot, I think I can focus on one thing at a time. So no rush again.
Yeah. And I mean, this is a pretty obvious question, I think, but you don't really do sponsored posts or, like you said, no collaborations with anybody.
No, I mean, I'm open to collaborations, but depends on what kind of collaborations, right? Because there are certain things like, for example, I will not go my way to have people submit their story. No, that's not what the page is about. And I will also not go out of my way to be able to post a story that is not a post that is not related to the Humans of Ottawa. The second you do that thing, I don't know. I just feel like the second you do that thing, maybe it may receive a really good reception, or people also may start thinking like, what is it doing now? We thought this page was just about this, and now we start turning into different things. You know what I mean? So it's one thing that until present, I'm still struggling with it. I don't know whether, I know we are completely moving into the world of advertisement, of promotion, collaboration. I think if the day come, I may find myself doing that one day, but I don't know. It's really one thing that even within myself, I'm kind of like struggling with it, and I don't know whether or not I should accept that yet. And no, but for now, I think what I'm doing works, Change is always good. I'm always open to changes. But changes are scary as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? So, I mean, if there will be any advertisement and promotion, we definitely have to take it. I will definitely have to take a look into what contest does that fall into, so that it does not disturb the process of the page or the idea behind the page. But one thing that I would definitely think that I will not go out of my way to do, which I've received a lot of requests from, is to be able to work with someone, but basically instead of me going out there, get story, have people submit the story. Then I just feel that's no longer authentic, because if you have to write your own story, you'd paint a perfect picture out there, right? I mean, it's just who we are, just as a human. If I want to write about myself, I would just think of all the good quality about myself. And so that's just one thing that I see really just, it's just not worth it, because the second you start putting just like wonderful story, people are going to be like, man, this is too good to be true. So as far as that, I don't know, but promotions and collaborations, I did some series with like the Heart Institute. I did series with, a few series out there. But again, when I went there, I told them that I will do the series again. It's gonna kind of be on my own term, in terms of like just try to tell stories, because I believe like if you tell stories on things that make changes rather than advertisement. Advertisement make money, but story don't really make money. Advertising don't really make changes. Maybe they do. I don't know, but. Yeah, so I literally just went out there, talked to people, because I want to kind of have that one-on-one conversation, because that's how a person can. Some people will open up to you and tell you their whole entire life, and you'll be like, wow. And some people will be reserved, and they will tell you what they want to tell you. It's all good. But as long as it's kind of like on that particular moment, I think that's what unique about it. And it's going to be hard for me to kind of like go the other way around it. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did that series, and like not necessarily collaboration, but how did that series with the Heart Institute come about?
Yeah. So I think, what did I do? Did they reach out to me? I reached out to them. No, they reached out to me actually, because before that I did few other series. Let me just take a look here. I did few other series. Before the Heart Institute, I did few other series, and then I think one of their communication teams saw the series and reached out to me. They were like, "Hey, would you want to do this?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do this." And then we kind of like start chatting in terms of how to go about it. So, so the Heart Institute was the first series that I actually did. Awesome. Yeah, so yeah, they reached out to me and they were like, I'll be like, yeah, totally, I would do this, and how to go about it. So I went there, we met down, I just explained to them basically the whole entire process. And the funny thing enough, because there are certain people kind of like high-end doctors and whatnot, of course, those people we had to schedule the time with. We just give them a brief overview. I just give them a brief kind of like summary of kind of like what type of question I ask. Again, I may have used one or two of those questions, but I sort of just told them I was just gonna go sit down and chat, literally. And another cool thing that we did, we actually went around the hospital. Literally just like went around the hospital, just like approached some patients right there, and then asked them, here's what we're doing for the Heart Institute, Heart Month awareness, and asked them if they want to have their story told or picture taken. They agree, and we had them sign the consent right there and then and conduct the interview. So basically what I did on the street, I just did it around the hospital. So that was really cool. And was just able to capture all those stories. And then like we had to schedule some appointment with certain doctors and certain staff members who we thought was also key to capture their perspective as well. So those are kind of like people that we scheduled the time with, but we didn't kind of like give them the transcript or anything of how the interview would go. But yeah, so we went about it, and we made that happen. I think that was the first series that I did, and after that, it led to the Craft Maker series and Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. So again, all these series just like fall into the same category of same approach and whatnot. So it's been. So again, for me, I felt like I did still achieve the goal because people were able to tell the story without being like, oh shoot, I'm in hospital. Okay, fine, I'm gonna talk about this. Okay, cool, let's do it. So it was really cool. Yeah,
that's awesome. How did the other two series come about?
Again, I think they also reached out to me as well, or maybe I reached out to them. Maybe they reached out to me. Take a look at the email, and then we talked about again. Just like doing series on local makers in Ottawa and whatnot. So I was like, yeah, definitely a good idea. So we went again, same idea, we did it and published it out there.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the Ottawa Business Journal because you were also recently featured in there.
Yeah.
So you were one of the top Instagram accounts to follow in Ottawa.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, it's interesting. I was really, really, really thankful for that. So out of the blue, I received an email saying that you're from, I don't remember her name. I have to take a look into the email. So I received an email saying that, okay, we're doing the journal. Your Instagram is going to be featured in one of the posts. I was like, oh, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And then, I think after a month or a couple of weeks. And then one of the, basically, I just saw I was tagged into a post. And then when I went to look into it, I was like, oh my God, the journal's out. And also it was really cool. It was kind of like one of a milestone to be like, oh wow, so people are actually taking this initiative serious. So it was really kind of like little things like that. I don't really promote myself out there, but I think the authenticity of the page and whatnot also does their own talking about it, because it's funny because this is kind of like the first on-camera interview of like that I've done.
Yeah.
All right. So. People don't know who I am, right? People never saw me, and then it's kind of like, oh my God, this is the guy running the Humans of Ottawa. So, because again, it's never about me personally. I have my personal Instagram. I have just like 700 followers in that, and I'm fine. I don't apply the technique that I learned from the Humans of Ottawa on my personal account. I don't want to go crazy. I'm like, I've been doing it for the Humans of Ottawa. It's already enough. And yeah, I mean, I'm just an individual out there, and like I said, the Humans of Ottawa and me, despite me running it or creating it, is totally two different entity between me and the page. Yeah.
When you got featured by the Ottawa Business Journal,
Mm-hmm.
did you see a spike in followers? Like, did a lot of people come over and check the page out?
To be honest, I didn't pay attention to that. I didn't really pay attention to that. But I think yes. But again, it's hard for me to really pinpoint because like I don't really have a graph to actually see if there was increase, right? Sometimes I will go on the Instagram, because like let's say for example, if I go one day or for example when I was not in, I was away in Shanghai, for example, I will turn on when I was able to, because like in China, Instagram, Facebook, Google, all those things blocked.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So you need kind of like a VPN to access those pages, right? So and then eventually when I was able to get around VPN and then be able to go to Instagram, I'll go in a day, be like, oh, 50 followers. Oh, cool. But I really didn't, I don't know. I think maybe it did spike a little bit. It did, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then so when, like you're talking about when you go to like Shanghai, you can't exactly take pictures of people in Ottawa.
Yeah.
So when you go out, how many people do you talk to? How many stories do you get?
So very good question. I haven't. Despite I go around with my camera everywhere, and there's always that thing of me be like, okay, you go out, maybe there's an opportunity to interview people out there. But I haven't yet done that yet. So no, I didn't talk to anyone when I was away. I was away actually last year. I was away this year. This year I was away twice. I was in Italy and then I was in Shanghai, and no, I didn't talk to people. Although like was kind of like even some of my friends was like, hey, you're going away, do some stories there. And it was hindsight. I think maybe next time if I actually decide to kind of like be like, okay, cool. Now on this trip I will try to at least dedicate 1 or 2 days and go out, because what I do, I will go out and maybe like on one day do like 5-6 interviews and then share them over the day. I don't go out every single day because I have life.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll go out just like maybe 1 day or 2 days, or just like take a bunch of story and then share them in the next day or 2 or week.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So if you had any like final advice for people that want to grow their Instagram, what would you give them?
Again, one thing, authenticity is very, very important. When I'm talking about authenticity, is about you want to find what's unique about you. You want to give people a reason to follow you. All right, why should I follow you? Right? I mean, because Instagram was fun when it was just Instagram where I'll follow you because you're my friend or because you look great. I mean, yeah, that may still be a reason why people should follow you, because you look great, but this day you want to give them more of a reason to do that, right? So why your content is worth it, and why, so what's unique about you that they should follow you. So once you figure that out, just start putting work into it. You put work into it, and then slowly that message is gonna start spreading out there, and then it will because like I said, when the Instagram is very new, it's hard to tell, but again, you keep working onto it and putting some effort into it, and then people will start noticing it, and slowly it's just gonna start peak. You don't want to go from 1 to 10 at a time, or 1 to 100, or 0 to 100. I'd say you want to go for kind of like 1, 2, 3, those steps to get there, because like by wanting to go from 0 to 100, you miss a lot of advantage. You don't have any story to tell. You don't have any experience to tell. Hey, how did you build on Instagram? Oh, I just created an account and bought followers. Really? That's all? It's not fun to tell. And when you look back, you kind of be like, oh, no, you didn't do anything about it. So I think like this little journey, to kind of like creating your content, because like you learn a lot. You don't only learn about follower, you learn about how to become a good content creator. You learn about how to own your craft, how to kind of like create it, to make it better, to perfect it, right? For example, in my case, I become a good portrait photographer. I'll take good pictures of people and things like that. And one thing is that I don't even edit these pictures. I don't even edit picture and I receive certain message, be like, hey, what camera do you shoot with? What lens do you shoot with? And things like that, right? And people may think like, oh no, he's probably editing his picture. No, I don't. Like literally, I don't. I shoot a bunch of raw. I shoot with a lot of raw, and then I shoot right now I have an 85 millimeter lens, and then I also shoot I have I think a 70 to 24 to 70 millimeter that I shoot with, and it's just knowing how to play around with my camera that I can. Again, the reason why I even went from a 60D to a 5D because at one point I started needing more of my camera, but my camera was not getting me out there. I was like, okay, fine, I'm just gonna close my eyes, get kind of like the top of the line, because I wanted that image to be more sharp and things like that, but which with the 60D I was not able to, because just the 60D, the number of focus point you get in the 60D and the 5D is totally different, right? So it's those things, right? Like kind of like Instagram allows you to learn how to become a good photographer, how to become a good business marketer, because you start not knowing. You see what people are doing out there, you see YouTube videos, and you apply all those techniques, and then you keep pushing you and making, and then those changes, people eventually start noticing it, and that's how you kind of like grow your page. So I would say, be authentic and put a lot of hard work in there, and don't buy followers.
That's awesome.
Don't buy followers, and don't focus on the number, focus on the content, and focus on the content. If you feel like you need to reach out to people, reach out to them with all sincerity, and certain people will respond to you. And it sucks for those who don't respond because maybe they have a huge follower. It's all good too, but they also had a point where they started. They kind of like had their story to tell as well. So I think your story eventually will be also like worth a while to be able to sit down in a table full of Instagram influencer and one day be like, hey, this is what I did. And you'll see like everyone have one thing that they did different, and yet everyone have one thing that they do in common, and that commonality will be that you have to be authentic, you have to find your niche, and you have to be unique, and don't focus on number will come eventually over time. Yeah.
Is there ever a plan to start implementing all these techniques and strategies into your personal page, or
no? To be honest, no. No. To be honest, I'm fine with my page.
Yeah.
I thought about it. I tried it, and I was just like, it's a lot of work. That's like, because like I have like, so for the Humans of Ottawa, there is like a Facebook page, Twitter page, and an Instagram page, and a website. Those are 4 platforms, and then my own is gonna be the 5th one. It's a lot. People hire certain people to do this.
Yeah.
But no. Mm-hmm. I tried it, and I was like, nah, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there ever a plan to kind of rep the Humans of Ottawa more and be like, I'm the creator of this, or you really want to keep it separate for a while?
I mean, so far I still want to keep it separate, but at the same time, I think it's also nice to kind of put a face behind it so that, or I think, to be honest, I don't know, but so far I think I've kind of like kept myself in the shadow, like me, in terms of just leaving the page doing its own thing. And I think maybe that's going to change over time for sure, where I'll be more out there, which I am right now.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Here we're talking. And I think people are curious, right? People want to know about who you, what you do, again, all these questions. And I talked earlier about like no engaging with comments, right? And one thing that I actually start doing, or maybe like I did it once and then I thought I would be doing more, would be to kind of like use, you see on an Instagram story where you have like, you can ask a question. I think that also one way I can just like directly just engage with the audience, and that way they'll be like, okay, this guy is actually here online. You just don't post story and disappear, So I did it last time and it was great. It was fun because like people just like ask me a question and I actually respond and post those questions on Instagram and the Humans of Ottawa story. So it was really fun. I think like I would kind of start using those things to kind of like engage directly with people, be able to actually respond one-on-one. Because since I'm not responding on comments, I respond to email, but not everyone will write you an email, right? But I feel like if you put an Instagram story out there, even though people will be like, oh, ask Humans of Ottawa a question. Certain people may not have a question, but maybe their question, someone else may ask that question. So they can just already go read those answers. And I think that's also another way of just like a direct communication with them, because those story expires after 24 hours, right? So it's pretty neat. I think I can kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like my goal is basically just use some Instagram tool to kind of like, you know, push the page and open more that, you know, conversation, bilateral conversation with people. And yeah, eventually you see me posting, be like, hey people, but yeah, maybe eventually on the Instagram, Humans of Ottawa Instagram page, but yeah.
So what do you hope people take away from your content?
One thing is like, I mean, the goal of the page is that to simply show that, to tell people that they are not alone in whatever problem they're going through, you know? We live in a world where, like I said earlier, that if you approach someone, people are very skeptical of others, but it's hard to tell at the bottom of everything, we're all human. We have one thing in common, and basically, I want people to know that people are not different. People are people. You know, they go through the same struggle. They have problems, and if you are able to go read about different people, you read different stories about people on the page, it will maybe change the way you approach people in the future. You know, you'll be more friendly, you'll be more passionate, or you'll be more easily empathizing with people and whatnot, but rather than being more, closed up in your own world, you know, because again, it's also a mechanism of protection, right? When we kind of like disassociate ourselves with other people or with the world, it's because we want to protect ourselves, right? We don't trust the other people out there. But I think the page is kind of like to break that boundary, right? To be able to tell, like, okay, you can protect yourself, but also like people, other person is also going through the same thing, the same mechanism of protecting themselves. So if you can kind of like lower those boundaries a little bit, you will see that we have a common ground. So I think the end of the day, I just want people to read the stories and become more friendly and break those boundaries and stereotypes and all weird convictions and that we may have. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what's next for Eric, and what's next for Humans of Ottawa?
Oh man, I don't know. Just keep doing what I'm doing right now. We have a series coming up. I'm excited for that. Awesome. So it's coming up. I think I'll be doing a series starting next month. So that's kind of like one thing that looking forward to. I'm excited to share stories of a group of individuals. Definitely focus on one thing. I'll make an announcement on Instagram. I think that's what's coming up as far as with the Humans of Ottawa. And outside of that, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing, you know, post story. And also one thing, I also want to start doing more like sharing more like Instagram stories in terms of like, because showing people behind the scene. What I do, I think people will be interesting about that. So, you know, doing all these behind the scene work and kind of like start putting it out there. So will be also another way to kind of like covers all the questions that people may have, like how do you do this, how do you do that, and to show them, because I think we're more in a world of visual communication again, rather than text, right? So people read less, no offense, but including myself, I don't read much, man. I read for school, but we're more captivated by images, right? So I think video, photos, and that's what Instagram is all about. So yeah, awesome. I think that's next, and keep doing what we're doing.
Sweet.
Okay.
You got time for a quick Q&A before we wrap things up?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
So I used to call it rapid fire, but people think fast questions, fast answers.
Okay.
So I know we're kind of limited for time, so you can fly through answers if you need to. But if you can elaborate if you want to.
Yeah.
First question.
Yeah.
Is what's a show you're binging on Netflix or Hulu, Amazon Prime right now?
Show I'm binging on Netflix. Actually, I don't have a show that I'm binging on Netflix right now. No, I have Netflix, but like the last time I logged into it, I think it was a week ago.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So not watching anything right now?
No, right now, no. But last night I watched Equalizer though.
Okay.
Yeah, because I want to watch the second part of it, but I watched the first one to kind of remind me, so get me prep of the second. So that's what I did last night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your favorite app that's not Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter?
Favorite app that's not Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I say iMessage. So kind of like message. Yeah.
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 Who are some Instagrammers that people should be following right now?
Instagram people should be following right now. Follow anything you like as long as it's not demonizing.
Yeah.
Follow anything you like, to be honest. Yeah, but to be honest, I don't know. Like, I don't really have. I follow a lot of national geographic posts, so like nature and things like that. I don't know. Maybe check it out if you're not following one. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you watch any YouTubers?
I do watch YouTube. Yes. I'm lame. I watch a lot of YouTube, mostly news.
That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless I'm looking for a particular thing, then I'll search for that. But no, I don't really have kind of like, if I go on YouTube, mainly just like for news, because like when I wake up in the morning, turn on the news, and I'll either have like CBC radio on or some whatever lengthy video on YouTube going for the news. Yeah.
Awesome. Music you're listening to right now?
I'm listening to, it's more like alternative music. So hold on. I think I was listening to, what I've been listening lately is the Monolink.
Okay.
So it's kind of like the album called like amniotic. Monolink is kind of like a genre of electric music. Yeah.
Cool. Books that you'd recommend?
Books that I recommend. Let me think. Is there a book that I read recently that was interesting? I read some articles about like, again, because I'm in comms, right? So I read some really cool about like activism and whatnot. But what I'd say is like, keep up more with the news and see what's going on around the world. Awesome. Yeah, more like just read a lot and be more informed. Yeah.
Do you listen to any podcasts?
No. Actually, but I watch a podcast though.
Yeah?
I did watch them all before coming here, so it was pretty cool. Yeah,
thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Of course, I did kind of research. I was like, oh, let's see what these guys about. Yeah, but not really. Pretty cool content. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This one's kind of a local to Ottawa question.
Yeah.
Restaurants that people should go to, or like that hidden gem in the city.
Restaurants. I like going to the Joey Lansdowne.
Joey Lansdowne?
Yeah, Joey Lansdowne. It's pretty cool. And craft. Mm-hmm. Especially now, I hope they have their pumpkin beer, the IPA for the IPA, the kind of like the seasonal beer. It's pretty cool. And the Loft is also my favorite place to go hang out.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
Yeah, definitely beer and games. Always keep a good crowd together. So yeah.
Do you have a morning and night routine, like a specific one you follow? Maybe you don't. That's cool too.
I work out every morning.
Okay.
Yeah. So like first thing, except today because I had to come here. But wake up in the morning, go to the gym, come back, have my breakfast, and tackle my day that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this next question, I don't know if you know Gary Vaynerchuk.
No.
Okay, well, I stole this question from him.
Okay.
And it's, what are you obsessed with?
Okay.
But it's not like I'm obsessed with going out and telling these stories of Ottawa. It's like something random. Like I bought this new shirt and it's so comfy. I'm obsessed with my new shirt. Like something random.
It's funny. I'm actually obsessed with hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally, I have a lot of I have few hats, but I'm really obsessed with hat. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Next question is 3 items on your bucket list.
3 items on my bucket list. Australia one. Next thing, actually, I want to upgrade another pair of sunglasses, Ray-Bans, that I saw new for. And the third thing would be to go to Australia, get a pair of sunglasses, and third thing, what's the third one that I actually want to? Oh, actually, I want to shoot a time lapse. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, before winter. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're going to dinner. You can take 3 people with you.
Yeah.
Dead or alive, who would you bring? You can take anybody in the entire world.
If I'll take anybody. Let me think of that. Oh, that's a bit hard. If I'll take anybody, dead or alive. I'll take Barack for sure. I think that guy would be an interesting guy to chat with.
Yeah.
And I'll take Obama for sure. And another person that I would really have some creative conversation with, who would be? Probably some philosopher or something. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe who? Immanuel Kant? Yeah.
Okay.
That guy was interesting too. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. What's the best advice you've ever been given, and by who?
It's hard. I don't know. Best advice.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be by who. Like if someone asked me that question, I'd have absolutely no idea.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like best advice. What do you define? Okay, let me think.
If you can't think of anything, that's cool too.
Sorry?
If you can't think of it either, like we can skip a question.
Yeah. I'm just thinking real quick here. I don't know. I think we all say yourself, but I think be yourself and love yourself. I don't know who gave that to me. Maybe I came to in my own understanding, but that's a lot to kind of like put into compacting those little words, because we live in a weird world right now.
Yeah. What's one thing about you people wouldn't expect?
People wouldn't expect that the person who runs the Humans of Ottawa is black. I'm telling you that. Yeah, I don't know. I have just the thing in mind. I'm like, oh, maybe like people wouldn't expect that. It's
really.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, did you expect that?
I didn't really like think about it, to be completely honest. I thought you were just gonna say people wouldn't expect I run People of Ottawa. I didn't think you'd take it that direction.
No. I'm just saying, like, I just figured. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Like again, like when just no, I think a lot of people wouldn't even like thought of like me as it. Yeah, unless my close friend, even those who like know that I run the page, I told them not to talk about it and why not. So because I just want to keep it super low profile.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Last question.
Yeah.
What's one thing that everybody should know?
One thing that everybody should know. One thing that everybody should know. Okay. Take care of the planet. Yeah, like take care of the planet. Read, figure out ways you can do to make little changes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you, and I want to give you the floor. Where can the people find you? Plug everything and anything you got right now.
Well, go follow the Humans of Ottawa. That's all I'll say. I'm not gonna give my personal Instagram.
That's fair.
Go follow the Humans of Ottawa, and then if you have any question, again, reach out to me. I'll really gonna take my time to answer that. Again, if I don't answer direct right away, just be patient. I will definitely get back to you as much as I can. Have any question, reach out. I'm definitely open for a conversation and whatnot. Yeah. And again, go follow it, share with your friends, and tell, hey, this guy's finally made his face available. So yeah, cool.
That's awesome. Well, I want to thank you. I know you said you don't really do this, so I really appreciate that you're willing to do it for my podcast.
Thank you.
So, guys, make sure you go and follow humans.of.ottawa.
Yes.
I'll make sure everything's linked as well, but definitely go check them out. They got some really cool stories on there. If you've listened the entire way through this podcast or even just a little bit, thank you for taking the time to check it out. And again, follow Humans of Ottawa on Instagram. And if you want to check out the podcast on Instagram, it's at MySocialPod.
And also follow Jacob as well.
Yeah, you can follow me at the Jacob Kelly.
Awesome.
Thank you once again for listening, everybody. We'll talk soon.
All right, peace.
Thank you once again for listening to this episode of My Social Life. As always, whether you've listened the entire way through or you've only listened to bits and pieces, I really appreciate you taking the time to check these episodes out. I put a lot of work into each individual podcast, so it really means the world to me when you're listening. I would also appreciate it if you went and checked out Humans of Ottawa on Instagram, guys. They're at humans.of.ottawa. As we talked about in this episode, Eric puts a lot of work into his posts. They're really well written, and it's a good follow. Some really powerful stories. So I recommend you check that out, even if you're not from the Ottawa area. I mean, especially if you're from Ottawa. But if you're not from Ottawa, it's still a good page to follow. People are people no matter where they're from, guys. And I also just want to take this time to thank Eric once again. As I talked about in the beginning of this episode, and he referenced a couple times throughout, he's never really done this. He likes to keep himself separate. So this is a rare opportunity for me to be able to interview him as a creator of Humans of Ottawa. So that's a really cool experience for me, especially so new into my podcast journey and my just interviewing and sitting down and talking to people for a long time. Like, it's just an awesome opportunity to get so early on, and I'm so appreciative of it. It would also mean the world to me if you guys left a rating and a review for this podcast. The more positive ratings and reviews we get, the more it's shown to people as like a recommended podcast. So there's the higher chance that we're going to get new people listening and grow this community. And speaking of this community, if you're listening to this episode, screenshot that you're listening to it, post it to your Instagram story, and tag at MySocialPod, and I will share it to our Instagram. And while you're doing that, you might as well just follow My Social Life on Instagram. Again, it's at MySocialPod. If you want to see our faces, I post video clips from the podcast on there, and I also post some quote graphic stuff. So it's a pretty cool follow as well, and you should definitely follow me while you're on Instagram, following Humans of Ottawa and following My Social Life. Like, while you're there, might as well, right? You can find me at the Jacob Kelly. I do Instagram vlogs. So every single day I'm posting Instagram videos, vertical videos of my face and just what I'm doing. You get some behind the scenes access to the podcast, to my job. So yeah, it's another neat little follow, and that's what I'm doing on Instagram. So that's why you should check me out. But sorry, I'm kind of rambling at this point now. So I'll just sign off here. Thank you once again for listening, everybody. We'll talk soon.